Can you guys believe how quickly time flies? Tomorrow's the 24th. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. And then it'll be Christmas and Boxing Day and then New Year's. So I got an idea, and it's just an idea. Nothing's gonna come from it, it's just an idea. What if, and just hear me out, what if someone like me, I went to film school? I don't know, I've been seeing a lot of ads for Toronto Film School lately, and you guys know how much I love the craft that is movie making. But don't let me fool you into thinking, you know, I have any clue of what goes into actually movie crafting. If I were to attend film school, I imagine I would learn certain stuff like well, it's not just acting, you know, it's not like theater. You know, there's a lot of things that go towards filmmaking. Prop design, set design, script writing, rehearsals, choreography, table readings. And that's just the practical side, you know? What about all of the digital side? Video editing, sound design, lighting. Like, a lot of steps go into filmmaking. It's just an idea. Probably nothing will come from it. Well, I'll wait for a certain someone to show up before I talk about Chainsaw Man. I'm starting to really wonder what's the end game for this story. But I'll discuss that when a certain someone's here, if he even shows up today. I don't have much else to talk about. Have you guys seen all the stuff that's been coming out about the Epstein files? I know most of it's been redacted, but it also looks like it's slowly coming to fruition. So I probably will be gone a few nights. Tomorrow night I got a dinner. I'm not sure about actual Christmas night. Not Christmas. Boxing Day I have a dinner. 27th I'm going out with friends. A week from now, on New Year's Eve, on the 30th, seems like I'm going out that day too. While I wait to see if No Shame in Feeding will show up for me to discuss Chainsaw Man, I'm just gonna finish a couple of videos I have here on the side. Wait, really? Sorry, it's just a video I'm watching. Whoa, bit compression? Why? What happened? Did the screen go crazy? You know, I do wonder when I'll ever get back to playing Tears of the Kingdom or Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Because I will. But, in order to play that new content, I need a Switch 2. So the better question is, well, when will I get my hands on a Switch 2? Because when I do, then Tears of the Kingdom will return. I'll be honest, I don't really remember how to play that game anymore. You know, I've been playing so much Breath of the Wild lately that the controls for the two games are so vastly different. So my mind is all Breath of the Wild now. There's going to be a learning curve to get back into Tears of the Kingdom. Wait for the Switch 2 emulator. But I already bought the amiibos. Oh, you want to know what else I've been watching a lot of lately? Not necessarily full episodes. On YouTube, I've just been watching a lot of Simpsons content. Like a lot of Simpsons shorts. My particular favorite one I've seen so far is Homer cheating on his diet. Goes to the motel with literally a rotisserie with lamb. And even the guy's just like, I've never said this before, but turn the camera off. I never watched The Simpsons growing up, but watching all these clips makes me kind of want to go back and, you know, watch it. But it's just so much. And I know people are going to call me a hypocrite, Because, you know, I'm the guy that always says, oh, everyone, whenever they look at the shows that I recommend, they say it's too long. And they don't have time for it. Listen here, buddy. We're not talking about 11 seasons Walking Dead, 7 seasons Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., 8 seasons of Arrow, 9 seasons of The Flash. No, we're talking 30 seasons. We're talking 30 years worth of content. And just like if I were to watch One Piece, I would start at the beginning and watch every single episode. One Piece is only 1 season though. I think you're missing a couple digits there. But yeah, if I were to watch The Simpsons, I would start from episode 1 and work my way up. I would watch every single episode. Like I said, we're not talking 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 seasons. We're talking 30 seasons. And yes, it may balance out with the fact that the episodes are 20 minutes long and not hour-long TV episodes, but still, we're talking 30 seasons here. The animation studio said so recent? Since when have we ever been lied to by Hollywood execs? But this is Japan? Well, now you lost me. I don't even know what you're talking about anymore. I mean, there are other shows that I am relatively caught up on. Like really long-running animated shows. Futurama, Family Guy, American Dad. I may not be completely caught up with the newer seasons, but you know, I still see clips from the new episodes every now and then. Simpsons, though, yeah, I just really never watched The Simpsons. I just never got around to it. Can you believe the only thing from The Simpsons I've actually watched is the movie? Like, legit, the only Simpsons content I've genuinely watched, well, aside from the Family Guy crossover. One Piece Season 1 will end on December 28th. Wait a second, it says here, episode 1155 will be the final episode of the season. You cannot be serious. You aren't kidding. One Piece really is just 1 season. Wait, then why do I see here it says 20 seasons? I can't even scroll down, there's so many episodes. I don't know anymore. But yeah, the only Simpsons content I've actually watched is the movie and the Family Guy crossover. You know how they're finally making a Simpsons sequel movie 2 years from now? But it was delayed until, like, I forget if it was November or December, instead of the June-July window. You know, the 6th, 7th month window. God, why did I just say that? So, I've seen people online say, oh, what a missed opportunity. If it stayed in that window, it would have really been 20 years since the first movie. Like, down to the month. Give or take 1 or 2 months, whatever, close enough. There was even a joke about this in the first movie. Bart writing on the chalkboard, I will not take 20 years to make another movie, or whatever he wrote there. But it just had to be delayed. Almost 20 years perfectly would have passed since the first movie. How crazy is that, by the way? I mean, that's kind of crazier than the SpongeBob movie. There was a more than a decade gap between the first two movies, but we're talking 20 years here. I don't think The Incredibles even had a 20-year gap. Wasn't that one 15? And I did hear news that they're making an Incredibles 3. I'll believe it when I see it, because I see nothing of it yet. And Incredibles 2 did come out a good handful of years ago. Alright, let me know when you're ready so we can talk about Chainsaw Man. I know you... I know this episode... Ooh, oh my. This episode... Okay, well... That's enough of videos there. Alright, let's begin with talking about Chainsaw Man episode 7. Yes. I'm over halfway done with the season. So, following up with Denji just doing a plunge right into the Eternity Devil's mouth. To my surprise, his plan actually works. So I take back everything I say, or I take back any doubt I had that it works, because come on, of course it was going to work. Denji's plan was basically just to wound and hurt the Eternity Devil so much that it would just be like, alright, I give up, I can't take the pain anymore, please just kill me. Please just end it. Here's my heart, do it. You know, at first, it did not seem like it was working, because, Eternity Devil, it just kept on regrowing limbs and body parts. So Denji in his chainsaw form just kept on slicing and dicing. But, you know, Denji only has so much blood reserve to use his chainsaws. But then he realizes a little infinite cheat code. If he drinks the blood of the Eternity Devil, that'll heal him up and even replenish his blood supply. So it's just infinite. Eternal, one could say. So while Denji is kind of just going nuts, slicing up, we get a little flashback with Himeno and her superior, I guess. And he kind of just nonchalantly drops the fact that, people who are sane and normal, they end up dying in this field. Because we kind of need some nut jobs to take down devils. We kind of need some crazies with a couple screws loose. Because for crazy people, you can't ever tell what they're thinking. Even devils can fear that. Even pointing out that pretty much all of Himeno's past partners were sane and normal. And that's why they're now 6 feet under. We see Himeno even dreads that happening to Hayakawa, because he seems pretty normal. He seems pretty chill, and he has a death wish on him to go after the Gun Devil. So she knows deep in her heart that, yeah, he gonna die. He pursues the Gun Devil, he gonna die. But then she looks down at Denji, how completely crazy he is slicing up the Eternity Devil. She has hope. She likes what she sees. She thinks that Denji may really have a shot to take down the Gun Devil. And yeah, I was kind of wondering, what exactly is the endgame for the show? I'm not too sure if they're leading up to the Gun Devil at the end of Season 1. I feel like that might be too soon. So if not for Season 1, then what exactly are we building up to by the end of this season? If the Gun Devil is like the ultimate end goal for the whole show, endgame is Makima, duh. Yes, silly me, how can I forget? But yeah, if the Gun Devil is supposedly the most powerful devil out there, is there spit all over my screen? There is. Yeah, if the Gun Devil is the most powerful devil, the most powerful final big boss to take down in this world, surely that can't be the end of Season 1, right? Then again, what do I know? I don't know where the show's going. And are there other... Well, I'm sure there are other devils that are as powerful as the Gun Devil. Oh yeah, I also thought about something about the last episode. Remember how I said that that Kobani is kind of like, damn, she really unfit for this field. Well, if a couple of unhinged, screws loose individuals are ideal for this field, then never mind. Just target that attack, that aggression, to the actual devils and not to your coworkers. How about that? And I also thought you needed money, you needed work, and the only two options were devil hunting or being a sex worker? Really? Just those two. Just those two. You were only qualified for the two polarizing ends of the spectrum. Not even like flipping burgers, nothing. Restocking shelves, cashier, custodian, nothing. Really, those were the only two options. Okay. So anyways, yeah, Denji slices up the Eternity Devil so much that it just gives out. It's just like, alright, you win. Here's my heart. Kill me. Great! Now they get to actually leave. Oh yeah, it turns out that Denji has been slicing up the Eternity Devil for about 3 days. To the point all our other characters, they just go to bed. They just lie in bed and just wait. I mean, not much else they really can do. They're pretty weak as well, you know? They ran out of food 3 days ago when Power ate all of it. Oh, I'm sorry, it was Denji, totally not Power. So, they're free. They got a piece of the Gun Devil's flesh, and they're free. No degree needed. So anyways, yep, they all go, and, well, they celebrate, but first they rest, of course. But, you know, resting is boring to show, so skip all that, because we're going to celebrate. But first, Himeno and Hayakawa, they have a small conversation. They're thinking, like, what exactly is Denji? You know? It seems like Denji is a special individual. Not exactly someone with a contract, not exactly the way we see fiends work, like with Power. Denji, he's different. You know, I assume these guys don't really see humans turn into devils that often. If at all, so maybe Denji really is one of a kind. Or just a very rare specimen. Anyway, so Hayakawa suggests that to do a welcoming party for all of the rookies and the newbies. Speaking of rookie, I really can't believe Denji's whole goal was just to simply touch some boobs. Rookie. Think bigger, man. Anyways. So yeah. The welcome party. Hayakawa wants to invite Makima because, well, supposedly she'll be leaving soon to rally up more backup. Because a lot of devils seem to be after the chainsaw. And you know what? If Denji just keeps on using this infinite ammo cheat code that he's discovered, then maybe it makes sense why the other devils are after him. He can just constantly drink their blood, heal up, rejuvenate more blood, and just infinitely slice. Seems like he's a threat. So yeah, they also point out the fact that, hey, Makima travels a lot usually, but she's been staying here in Tokyo for quite a while now. You think it might be because of Denji? Do you think she knows Denji, what he really is, what his secret is? And I'm just like, what secret? Wait, did I misunderstand? Does Makima know Denji's secret, or does Denji know Makima's secret? We don't really know damn near anything about Makima yet. And Denji, come on, let's face it, this man has no secrets. He is very blunt about the fact that he just wants boobs and sex. It's like, what secret of Denji's are you talking about? It's not like he's very discreet about anything. Anyways, so celebration dinner time with a bunch of characters that I don't know who they are. And, you know, we also have our handful of new characters as well. We have Kobani as well as Arai, not Akai. That's not his name, idiot. His name is Arai, fool. So they all go to dinner. Power just completely gobbles down everything. Everything meat related. I wonder if she touched a veggie at all. But we know she's not a fan of vegetables. So they drink, they eat, they introduce themselves. Denji, he just introduces himself, and, well, we also learn the age of all these characters. To my surprise, Denji is the youngest. Denji, he says he's, to his knowledge, 16. It's like, wow, I thought he was a little older. Arai introduces himself as 22. Kobani introduces herself as 20. I don't think we got Hayakawa's age. I don't think we got Himeno's age, but, you know, they're not the rookies that this welcome party is for. Well, before Makima shows up, Denji, he's asking Himeno, hey, what about that kiss? Ooh, let me drink a little more so I can make it nice and juicy. I don't know. Part of me doesn't feel that. A part of me doesn't see the vision with that. Not gonna lie. To me, a very juicy kiss is kind of nasty. That's just me. And then this other dude, what's his name? He's just like, oh yeah, she gets very kind and very clingy when she has had a lot of drinks in her. So, he even says, oh yeah, she's probably kissed every guy here. But does that faze Denji? Of course not! Denji, for some reason, says all this out loud. He's just like, I'm gonna get my first kiss today. My first kiss! And then Makima shows up, like, what's that, Denji? Your first kiss? Oh, no, Miss Makima, no, I would never. No, of course not. Now he's put in a bad position. Does he get his first very tongue-filled, sloppy, juicy kiss? Or does he save it for Makima? But he doesn't want Makima to see, but he damn well wants that kiss. He tries to, you know, change the topic. What a futile attempt that was. You know, he changes the topic by saying, hey, I got a piece of the Gun's Devil's flesh. We're one step closer. Great! I forget what Hayakawa asked Makima. He asked her something about Denji. I kind of can't remember what he asked her. But then she's just like, I'll tell you if you can outdrink me. Damn, Makima, she can drink. Girl can drink. Did you see how many glasses there were on that table? Man, this is why I'm never being invited out, because I don't drink. They order more drinks, they order more food. Now this is the moment you were waiting for me to get to. Oh yeah, they also, while introducing themselves, they were also saying the devils they have contract with. Turns out Arai also has a contract with the Fox Devil. Because the Fox Devil's actually kind to humans. Cool. And also, Kobani, she keeps her contract a secret. Well, I guess if girl has a secret contract, then I guess that explains why she's in this line of field. You know, she could have chosen any other safer job, like maybe a delivery girl or, you know, a waitress at a restaurant. But no, the only two options in the whole world were risk your life on the front line or sex. Literally only the two options. Anyways, you learn the secret to her drinking abilities in Season 2. Do we even know when Season 2 is out yet? Alright, so this is the moment y'all were waiting for. Now that Himeno has had enough drinks in her, she drunkenly just grabs Denji's face and just, you know, starts sucking face with him. You see a lot of tongue action as well. And Denji, he turns his eyes to look like, oh shit, is Makima watching? Shit, she is. But this is so great. I can't resist. I can't stop. Ooh, her tongue. It feels great in my mouth. But wait, what is that taste? And then it's revealed that she puked in his mouth. Even Power was laughing. Of course Power was laughing. And then Power just had to say that Denji will swallow anything with a hint of nutritional value to it, and then we see Denji with his cheeks full and just gulp it down. For a second I thought Power was serious, because right as he just swallowed down the chunks, we get a flashback to Denji dumpster diving for any sort of scraps he can get his hands on, and feeding it to Pachita as well. And then, oh, funny fact also, the vomit is censored. So in the flashback, we see Denji and Pachita look to the side and seeing rats feeding on some censored vomit, and for a split second, I thought what Power said was gonna be true. The fact that Denji would be so desperate for food, he would actually go and lick up that vomit. But thank God he didn't, because the flashback was meant to throw you off. I'm betting I'm not the only one who thought that. Because Denji was laughing like, ha, look at those rats eating up some drunk's vomit. Ha 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 ha. And then, oof. We see exactly that happen to Denji. Thank God Denji had some sort of sense and he threw it up. He threw up the threw up. Well, we see Arai trying to help and comfort him. What was he saying, by the way? Arai was telling Denji about, like, his technique to throw up. Something about his mother. And I'm just like, did you really need to teach him that? Denji wasn't so disgusted that he could just throw up on his own. He really needed aid for that. But, you know, poor Denji. The only thing going on in that mind of his is the fact that his first kiss tasted like vomit and booze. And I'll be honest, I can't tell if Denji liked it or not. You know, a little while ago, I forget how long it's been, my dad, he went out drinking with friends, he came home at like 5 in the morning, threw up in a bucket, and I was tasked with cleaning it. Just the smell alone almost made me throw up, so if I consume someone else's drunken vomit, I don't think there's a way forward in life after that. You know, there are certain things in this lifetime I would like to never experience. I would like to never experience a kidney stone. I would like to never experience traveling to India. And I would like to never experience what Jude did to Star. Or in this case, what Himeno did to Denji. Alright, well, dinner's over. They're all going home. Makima is looking around like, hey, where's Denji? Hayakawa chimes in and is just like, oh, Denji? I think I saw Himeno carry him off. And then we see Denji wake up in a dark room by himself, wondering where he is. And then we see Himeno walk in with a can of beer in her hands. Her walk in a tank top and no pants. Her take a sip, go on top of Denji, and then kiss him to the point we see some beer dripping out. Oh my. Oh my. You know, she's wasted once again. And in her drunken state, she just babbles like, "Oh, don't think I haven't noticed. You are fawning over Makima. You and Aki both only got eyes for Makima. Move on." And I'm just like, does he? Does Hayakawa? Does he really now? Anyways, that's not important. So, we see her lie down next to Denji, fondling his face. For some reason, the camera just lingered on her tit for a while. She, as if she knew there was an audience watching, she just covers their mouths, and she just whispers. There's a small pause, but then she says to Denji's ear, "Wanna do it?" And then the episode ends. Oh my, oh my. Denji, not gonna lie, Denji kinda straight winning in life right now. I mean, he kinda had to pay the price before the events of the rest of the evening. But it's kind of an I receive, you receive. In this case, it's more like a Denji receives and Denji receives. He receives a very nasty vomit straight to the mouth, but he also receives, you know what? Would I, if I was in that Denji and I had the choice, would I do that trade-off? That's really hard to say. That is extremely hard to say. The end credits to this were actually a blast of nostalgia, by the way. Aside from the visuals being majority of the female characters in the show. But yeah, the end credits were just a blast of nostalgia to like maybe the 80s or the 90s. Aspect ratio changed. They had this like you know, old school TV filter to it. And then we even see this like VCR kind of TV with the credits too. Nice. I've always missed that kind of look, you know? You know, shows and films from the 90s were really something else. Not like the slop that we get these days. But damn, you know what this also makes me wonder? You know what I said last time about the two sides of the arguments must be true competition? Well, the fact that I've seen no one mention anything about Himeno just makes me think, damn, must be some really good contenders. You know what I mean? I don't see anyone talk about Himeno. I don't see anyone talk about power. So that debate, you know which one I'm talking about. That debate, must be some real quality stuff to debate about. And you know, I'm not gonna say anything because you know what I'm thinking. You don't need me to mention that. What if the roles were reversed there? Denji clearly said he was. Or at least he believed he was 16. So you don't need me to mention if the roles were reversed. If instead of Himeno it was a guy, and in Denji's position it was a girl who was 16, and then he kind of was carried off to the home of the adult. You don't need me to mention that. But this is Denji, what Denji wants, so it's a big win for him. It's a big win for us audience, because we've been cheering for him to achieve his life goal. Woohoo! But you know what I'm actually really interested in regarding this show? Did you know part of the song's lyrics is in English, but that part in Japanese sounds like vomit kiss? I was kind of paying more attention to the visuals than the actual lyrics. You know who I'm actually quite interested in? I'm actually quite interested in Makima. Not because of that. It's because we still don't really know anything about her. Majority of the characters we've met so far, we at least know something about them. Well, most of them. We know Denji's story, we know Hayakawa's story, we know that Himeno has had a bunch of dead partners in the past, and we know that she wants to prevent that. Hell, we now know more about Kobani than we do Makima. Kobani, we at least know that she has a brother who is better than her, and her parents prioritize, so they sent her to get a job for money. We don't really know much about Arai, honestly. Not yet. But all this time, we still don't really know anything about Makima besides she works at public safety. And only this episode we briefly learned that she travels a lot for her work. And for some reason she's now staying in Tokyo more. It's really all we know about her so far. Oh yeah, I guess you could say we learned that girl can really handle her liquor. I guess you could say that. I wonder, are we even going to learn anything about her in this season? Because, you know, time's a-ticking. There's only so many episodes left. And if we don't learn anything about Makima, not yet, then it's like, damn, that's all it takes for us guys, huh? That's all it takes for us to have this heated debate about who's better. Just what we see on the surface. Alright. I miss anything? You know, I get that this world is inhabited by a bunch of dangerous devils. But to see, you know, restaurant workers so chill, not necessarily at the sight of, you know, devil hunters, but actual fiends in their presence. You know, they didn't bat an eye at Power being there, and they saw how gluttonous she was. Let me think. Is there anything else I missed about the episode? Well, small details like while Hayakawa and Himeno were discussing, Hayakawa, he was digging through the corpse of some other small-time devil, and he found a bullet shrapnel. So another one to add to the magnetic collection. You know, I kind of wonder how big of a collection they need for it to actually start navigating them towards the Gun Devil. Because right now they have the size of, I don't know, a baseball. That's not going to get you any magnetic pull. And we don't know how big the Gun Devil is. We don't even know... We don't even know what it looks like. You know what I'm kind of picturing? I'm kind of picturing the guy in Cyanide Happiness. The gun guy. Wow, he's literally just called Gunman. Close enough. Is there anything else? If not, then let's move on. So I only have 5 more episodes to go. Let me see, how many more Sandman and Dead Boy Detective episodes do I have? Okay, I just watched episode 6 of Sandman, so there are 6 more. Well, technically 5, but there is a special episode. So, you know, bringing the grand total to 12. So I still have 6 more episodes of Sandman to go over, and for Dead Boys, I think there's like 1 less. No, there's 3 more episodes. And then after this, I don't really have anything else planned to watch. So Sandman, Season 2, Episode 6. This episode actually opens up with a flashback scene to Witchcross, England, June 28th, 1794. And we meet none other than Lady Joanna Constantine. Jenna Coleman returns to reprise her role from Season 1. And in Season 1, Dream did mention that he met a Constantine 300 years ago. Now, you gotta remember, this may be a gender-bent version of John Constantine, but you have to keep in mind, I'm gonna give the show a pass for this. Because you have to keep in mind, at the time of making the show, Warner Brothers didn't allow them to use the male version of Constantine. Because at the time, they were maybe thinking of reusing the character in the movies, maybe having Keanu Reeves come back, but clearly that didn't happen. But what's done is done. They weren't allowed to use John Constantine, so instead they used Joanna Constantine. Aside from being female, this character does not really resemble our Constantine character at all. She isn't a warlock, or in this case, isn't a witch, and doesn't use magic. So, whatever. Flashback to 1794, Dream approaches Constantine for help. And he promises that whatever is in his power, he will give to her in return. So what does Dream need help with? So Dream sends Constantine to France to retrieve the head of Orpheus because it was stolen. And the people of France, or rather the ruler of France, what's his name? I guess France at the time was ruled by like a dictator or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah. The head of Orpheus was stolen and brought to France. And Joanna, she's tasked with returning Orpheus back to where he belongs. Well, a small little encounter with a bunch of gunmen. They take the earring that was on Orpheus's ear. They kind of just rip it off because they believe the head is dead. It's a severed head. And it turns out that his wound will not heal on his ear. I mean, it kind of makes sense. The rest of his body didn't heal. He's literally a severed head. And we learn throughout the episode that the events of the previous episode have happened thousands of years ago. So Orpheus has been living as just a severed head for thousands of years. Damn. What a cruel fate this is. No movement, no anything. At least he's able to speak, unlike when Shinnok was decapitated. Which makes no sense, but whatever. Anyways, Constantine knows that people are coming after her because they know that she has a severed head. So in the morning, she gets paid a visit by Robespierre, the guy who rules France, I guess. Robespierre? Or Robespierre, whatever. He wants the head, and not like that. Well, he gives her 1 day to, come to her senses. But till then, she will be locked up. And that night, in her dreams, she gets paid a visit by Dream. She reveals that, she reveals that Orpheus even offered to sing for her. But that gives Morpheus an idea. Is he able to sing where he's being hidden? Yes? Great, you know what to do. So Robespierre has kind of figured out where she probably has hidden the head. Where to hide a book? In a library. Where to hide a flower? In a garden. Where to hide a severed head? Among the other severed heads. So in the underground dungeon prison, one of them full of severed heads. Yep, that's where the head of Orpheus is. And to get away, he sings. His enchanting sing kind of goes over the whole city. Everyone is immobilized in awe by Orpheus' singing. To where, kind of overnight, the people of France kind of rejected Robespierre. And he was the one in the guillotine. Cool. Great. Great for France. So Constantine, she brings the head of Orpheus to the island just outside of Greece, I think she said. Now, I'm not too sure if this island is where the last episode took place. Or if that was in the realm of the dreaming. I think it probably was the island. So Constantine returns the head of Orpheus to the island where the priests will watch over him. And it almost kind of seems like Constantine fell in love with the head of Orpheus. She offers to maybe come back every year or just come back in a year to visit, but Orpheus kind of picks up on it and is just like, probably best that you don't. So Constantine returns Orpheus's head to the priests. And she returns home, where Dream, pays her what is owed. So what does Constantine want that is within Dream's power to give? Well, she just wants more time with Orpheus. Well, that was nice. We cut back to present day where we see on the island, we see Constantine's tombstone. It says, born 1760, died 1850. Well, at least she lived a full life. And we know that she did have descendants. Because last season, Dream did meet the present-day Constantine, also named Joanna Constantine, who looks exactly the same. Very potent genetics, I guess. So now that Dream and Delirium are on the island, about to greet Orpheus, Delirium is starting to have second thoughts. Because now Delirium knows that in order to find their brother Destruction, they need an oracle, that oracle being Orpheus. And Delirium knows exactly what Orpheus will ask for in order to help them find Destruction. The one thing that Orpheus has wanted for thousands of years, being death. And we know that the Endless are forbidden to spill family blood. Otherwise, bring the wrath of the Kindly Ones down upon them. It's why in Season 1, Dream refrained from killing Rose Kincaid. Even though she was the vortex of the era. Thank God he discovered that she was family blood quick enough. Anyway, so Dream speaks to Orpheus, and they're both apologetic. A lot of regretful things have happened between them. But, so they made a deal. We know exactly what's happened. Morpheus owes Orpheus a boon. But first, he's going to see Destruction. So is Destruction far away from them? No. In fact, Destruction is very close by. Destruction is literally on the island right next to theirs. Destruction lives right next door. Destruction knew that no one would find him here because in order to find him here, Dream would have to see his son. Something he knows that he would not happen. That he would not do. So Dream and Delirium, they find their brother Destruction. Delirium is happy because she missed her brother, but Dream, he is very upset with his brother. Destruction actually were expecting them. Destruction knew they were coming and searching for him. And that's because he set up a couple of mechanisms before he left. So that if any of his siblings were searching for him, certain things would go off to prevent them from trying to find him. Some of those mechanisms being killing some of his friends, his old friends, the people who once knew him and maybe would know where he is. And Dream is very upset about that. Well, Destruction decides that now that you found me, I'm still not returning back to the Endless, but I think now that you found me, it's time that I move on. This place I was living at for 300 years, it was getting too comfortable. It's time for a change of scenery. So he goes to his own makeshift gallery where he takes his sword, Destruction's sword. As if we didn't know why Destruction left, he didn't want to be responsible for literally everything destruction related. Destruction, creation, it still happens with or without him or someone manning the helm in his realm. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. So destruction, he kind of isn't needed for the embodiment of destruction, and he didn't want the guilt of being responsible for everybody's destruction, so that's why he left. And he has no intention of returning. It's also interesting he mentioned he didn't want their dear mom and dad to be involved and potentially convince him to join or to come back. You know, all of the Endless are siblings. They never really talk about their parents. I kind of imagine their parents like their father is God. But wouldn't that make Lucifer a sibling to them? Not necessarily, but kinda. I mean, everyone's God's children, no? Whatever. Delirium offers Destruction to go back with her to her realm, but obviously Destruction doesn't want to, and, well, Delirium's sad, because she'll be lonely again. So Destruction has an idea. What about his dog Barnaby's goes with Delirium instead? So yeah, he gives his dog to Delirium. He gives his brother a hug, but, ooh, Dream, he just holds a straight face the whole time. He also gives Delirium a goodbye hug as well. You know, I didn't look up the cast for Barnaby's, but he kind of sounds like Andy Serkis. So yeah, Destruction, he leaves. He leaves for who knows where, somewhere in the cosmos. So now that their deal is done, or rather, yeah. Now that they found Destruction, Dream has to go back and honor the rest of the deal with his son. So Dream returns to Orpheus and he does his end of the bargain. So Dream finally does what his son wanted for so long. He picks up his son's severed head. We don't see it straight up, but we see the shadow. We see Dream strike his son's head. Blood dripping, his hands covered in blood. Dream has killed his own son. It was part of the deal. He did his son a favor. He finally gave his son what he wanted all these thousands of years. Death. So as Dream walks out, kind of shaken up the fact that he killed his own son, we see in the background the wings, the shadow of her wings. Death, Aunt Death has come to take Orpheus. So Dream parts ways with Delirium and Barnaby's. Dream returns to his own realm. He tells Lucien to, tell the priests watching over Orpheus that their duties are fulfilled. They may do whatever they want now. So Dream returns to his quarters. He pours some water into a bowl to clean up his own hands, which are drenched in blood. And then we see Dream, he starts crying. He breaks down. I mean, he just killed his own son. We've also never seen Dream like this before. So, poor Dream. Dream has gone through a lot lately. Like, Dream has existed since the beginning of creation, and recently Dream has been through a lot. Dream only recently was captured for 100 years by Robert Burgess, and then he had his heart broken by Nada. Now he killed his own son. Recently, Dream has been through a lot. And you know what I've realized? We kind of see Dream doing everything but what he's supposed to do, and that is manage the dreaming. But then there would be no show. So now we cut to the three fates. The three fates, the sisters, the three sisters of fates. And they're discussing the fact that, well, based on a fortune cookie, the fortune cookie, I'm surprised they even have fortune cookies. The fortune cookies foretell of something that they've heard before. So what did the fortune cookie say? A king will forsake his kingdom. Life and death will clash and fray. The oldest battle begins once more. Doesn't that sound a little similar? Maybe talking about different people this time, but still. So there's even discourse among the three sisters. The oldest sister knows that the Dream King spilled family blood, and that's forbidden. But the middle sister knows. He was asked to. But yeah, it looks like the Fates are going after Morpheus. Episode 6, y'all! Alright, give me a second, be right back, and then we'll talk about Dead Boy Detectives. You know, I really shouldn't do that. Because every time I return, I gotta really analyze, is it shiny? Hold on. Okay, let's continue. Alright, so Dead Boy Detectives, episode... What episode is it? Episode 5. So remember how in the last episode, Crystal and Charles, they finally fucked? Well, this episode begins with Crystal having a nightmare where she's dreaming that, you know, David is kind of... She's afraid Crystal is kind of like Charles. It was just a nightmare, though. Because of how confusing everything is right now, Crystal wants to just be friends with Charles. For now, at least. So, because Crystal wanted some alone time with Charles just to tell him that, Edwin, he leaves and sits outside just to read the book that Monty gave him. And two guys approach Edwin. Two dead guys. Two dead jocks, it looks like. So they don't know what happened to them. They think they were murdered, because obviously they're dead. So our characters, they unanimously decide to take up the case, which is rare for these characters. They don't really agree entirely about which cases to take. Alright, so Nico is about to mail a letter to her mom, but then she also notices that someone else sending a letter. Hey, that letter is the exact same as the letters being sent to Jenny, you know, by the secret admirer. So Nico follows and discovers that it's the lady Maxine who works at the library. Because of course the person, the secret admirer for Jenny was a woman, because God forbid anyone in the show is straight. Well, then again, Charles and Crystal, but like, you know, there was again a lot of woke lines in this episode. Anyway, so yeah, Charles and Edwin. Charles discusses with Edwin about the fact that he and Crystal kind of hooked up. Good for him, I suppose. Nico, she's just like, yeah, this time I gotta take a seat back. I got something to do. You guys have fun on your case. We have a small scene with Esther and Monty, where, you know, Esther, supposedly the deal made with Lilith was a trick, and now she's stuck with, well, she'll still age and wither, but in order to keep her youth, she needs to feed more little girls to the giant serpent she keeps in her basement. Yeah. So our characters get brought to the Dragon's Den. The Dragon's Den, which is the school's the school's frat boys' hideout, because their mascot's a dragon, so they're called dragons. They revealed that when they died, they saw a tree with eyes and monster hands. A cursed tree, perhaps, that killed them? Huh, don't know yet. So our characters, they go to the school and get a bunch of witnesses and interviews. For some reason, the mascot tells Crystal go to the yearbook room where this guy, what's his name, will tell you more about the cases about the two dead guys. For some reason. Lucky them, I suppose. Well, Nico tells Jenny that, hey, I found your secret admirer and I set up a date for you two tonight. After some convincing, Jenny agrees. Gee, this can't possibly go bad at all, can it? Alright, they go to the yearbook room to meet up with someone named Twitchy Richie. Crystal tries to look into his mind to see if maybe she can just find some answers first, but she looks into this guy's mind and it's porn. It's all porn, nothing but porn. Anyway, so they go into this pyromaniac's yearbook room, and I'm kind of surprised he's even allowed to have a lighter in here. So he does drop the fact that, hey, he never liked the two guys. They were bullies to him. And he thinks it's weird. He thinks there was something fishy going on. Because, the fact that both of their phones were never found, that's kind of weird. Anyway, so yeah, because this guy is kind of a freak, a weirdo who gets bullied by these jocks, he really doesn't like them. He's just like, those guys are gay. Despite having girlfriends, you don't think they're jerking each other off, giving each other hand jobs? And Crystal fires back. She's just like, in my experience, guys that make gay jokes are pussies. So Twitchy Richie steps up, almost tries to threaten her, but he doesn't know that they're defended by two ghosts. His lighter keeps on going out because Edwin just puts it out. And then the two ghosts, they push him aside. They make paper fly around everywhere because, they can't see. Or rather, Richie can't see. So after scaring the life out of him, he finally admits. Like, hey, one of the frat guys, he had a girlfriend who, went crazy, tried to kill him, blah, 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 and then she killed herself. So maybe that, unless you know how to summon the dead, good luck trying to find some more answers. Jenny's date, starts off fine with Maxine. Whatever. Edwin needs to be alone to summon the soul of this dead girl, who apparently, this isn't something significant for them to look into. Edwin summons her, and then she's just like, I was walking forever. You summoned me from the other side of the world? Back here? It's like, well, this soul clearly isn't in hell, because suicide, you go to hell. She's just still wandering on Earth, it seems like. Whatever, so the two guys, what's their name? They show up at the wrong place at the wrong time, and then they see Edwin talking to this guy's ex, and they think it's her, so they confront. She scared them off with her ghost energy demonic face. Oh yeah, the guy's name's Brad and Hunter. So this girl was an athlete, she was training for the Olympics, but then Brad screwed her over because he drugged her? And then made fun of the fact that she was hooked. Anyway, so Crystal now knows that these guys kinda ain't shit. So, Crystal, basing this off of her own experience, the fact that she was with David the Demon, so Crystal isn't really a fan of these guys anymore, but Charles, he still holds out hope that they're good guys. Well, during the argument, Crystal gets a call from an unknown number. It was Marin, Brad's girlfriend at the time before he died. And she was just like, I lied during our interview. Please come over, I want to tell you the truth. Anyway, so Marin invites Crystal inside for gin. Because, whatever. So she offers her to come inside. Edwin and Charles, giving them some privacy, they investigate the house. They notice that, if you look outside the window, it looks like a tree that has eyes on it. Ah, so the guys, they were here. This is the place where they died. Now, that seems like evidence enough to immediately warn Crystal, but no, they just keep on searching. Marin fixes a drink for Crystal, but clearly we know not to trust that drink. Edwin notices something that's behind a cabinet. So they move it, they find a secret box with a lock on it. So to open it, Charles just smashes it, and then the lock opens. Okay. I guess they didn't hear some sort of banging sound coming from upstairs. But they open the box and they find the cell phones of the two guys. Twitchy Richie even said, yeah, the phones were never found. Wouldn't there still be some sort of tracking in the phone, even if you remove the SIM card? Hey, what's up? So anyways, it's the phones being here that alert them that, oh crap, she's the killer, we gotta warn Crystal. Like, now's the time you warn her? But fine, they warn her just in time before she drinks, and they realize that she's the one who killed them. So Crystal makes physical contact with Marin to really see what happened, and it turns out where have I heard this before? You know? It's not like I've heard this story before and who knows how many other contents. So Marin sent some explicit photos to her boyfriend, who she trusted at the time, and then he, being a dick, sends them to all his friends, and then she's all butthurt about it. So, in a fit of rage, she spikes their drinks and accidentally kills them. Turns out all she wanted to do was take their phones and delete the pictures while they were unconscious, but no, the drinks, it killed them. She called Richie to help her, help her hide the bodies, bury the bodies. Great, we found the killer and she came clean. She even turned herself in afterwards. How's the shiny hunting going for you? It was pretty slow for a while. The hunts were taking quite a long time. But after that, well, the hunt started picking up again. Cresselia showed up not taking that long. Heatran and Giratina took a very long time. So here's hoping the world is balancing itself out and giving me some quick shinies. Especially for shinies that are very subtle and hard to see, like with Tornadus. I don't want to spend too long hunting this. So anyways, Marin turns herself in, but we actually don't know what happened to Twitchy Richie. He's an accomplice who helped hide the bodies. We don't know what happened to him, and I doubt we ever will. Alright, so Crystal goes home. So the boys and Crystal, they go their separate ways for the night. How many shiny legendaries have I caught so far? If you're asking me so far, I think 9? Because that's how many are in Gen 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think it is 9. So, how's the date going between Jenny and Maxine? Well, it was going fine at first. They even kissed, but then Maxine, she kind of drops a bombshell. Like, she's kind of crazy. You know, she was just like, oh, everywhere, everything is so boring in this town, but you stand out. You with your with your meat cleaver and your bloody apron, because she's a butcher. And the way you wear a nightgown at night in bed, and I'm just like, wait a second, what? I'm glad even the character picked up on this. Because they even did the mic drop moment. Not the mic drop, the record scratching. It's like, wait, what? You're watching her from afar, fine. It's a small town, I guess. But then you mentioned the way she wears her nightgown in bed. It's like, wait a second, what? And then she just kept on speaking, kept on talking, making it all worse. So Jenny is kind of freaked out now because she's in the presence with the stalker, so she asks Maxine to go, and she kind of just completely loses it. Immediately. 0 to 100. She's just like, you should be flattered. You're supposed to be flattered. No, now I've ruined things, and now I gotta restart everything. Picks up a giant cleaver. Like, wow, this scene went from 0 to 100 quickly. So, yeah, Maxine is an unhinged killer after Maxine. Wait, what? Maxine is after Jenny. Jenny hides in a very pathetic spot, I'm gonna be honest. She's hiding behind a bunch of hanging sausages out to dry. There's even gaps in between the sausages where you are exposed. Whatever, to no surprise, she gets found very quickly. And then Maxine, as she's about to swing the cleaver, she slips on something right onto the desk where there's the rod to sharpen your knife. And she gets impaled straight through the head and dies. Like, what? That escalated quickly. And that got resolved quickly. Gonna need some serious patience for these legendary Pokemon? You bet. The more that I do this, the more I think I probably should have done Dynamax Adventures. But yeah, Maxine, she died very quickly, very abruptly, whatever. So Crystal and Nico walk in, seeing a dead body about to probably excrete her bowels. A lot of shows don't cover that, you know? A lot of shows and movies don't cover that. When a body freshly dies, everything still inside comes out. So anyways, Brad and Hunter, you know, they get all defensive because Edwin and Charles, they're no longer fans of these guys. They realize these guys are total dicks. Complete monsters, if I'm gonna be honest. They feel no remorse over what they did. They caused one person to take her own life, and then, you know, they supposedly hooked Twitchy Richie on some sort of drug substance and made fun of him as he squirmed to get more. But yeah, these guys are horrible. So now that their murder mystery has been solved, It's time for them to, you know, now that their murder mystery is solved, it's time for them to move on to what happens after life. And given what these guys have done, so the Earth, literally, the Earth opens up. A giant red hole opens up, and this tentacle demon creature pulls them down to hell. I mean, you know what? Good riddance. These guys were horrible. Let them burn in hell. I mean, who knows if they're gonna burn? We saw what hell looks like in the Sandman. And this should be before Lucifer decides to quit and move on. Supposedly time doesn't work the same way in hell as it does here on Earth. So the guys could have been there for a very short time before Lucifer said, all right, get lost, everyone. I don't care where you end up. Or they could have spent a very long time. So anyways, Charles, he breaks down really hoping that these were two good guys because he can relate to them. Young, dead. Pretty much. So Charles worries if he's, you know, a bad person himself because he found himself to be quite similar to these guys. But then these guys turned out to be monsters. So Edwin reassures him that you are not. You are a good person. The only people who tend... Wait, the only people... What did he say again? Hold on, let me try to find the line. This is a line that Edwin said to Charles, and it's even a line we saw said... It's something similar we saw said in Squid Game. Bad guys do not worry about being bad guys. Well, I wish that was true, but it seems like that just simply doesn't apply to me. I worry about being a bad person all the time, but does that make me a good person? Nope. Sadly not. So, Charles, feeling reassured by his best mate, he gives Edwin a long hug, a very long hug. And Edwin, he's kind of taken aback from it. Over at the butcher shop, the three girls are kind of reflecting on what love does to someone. Alright, moving on. David the demon really wants back into Crystal's mind, but you know, Crystal just refuses. Good for her. But you know, Crystal is kind of tired about always having to deal with David. And she's also frustrated she doesn't have her memories. Whatever, so Edwin and Monty meet up at a park at a swing set, and Edwin basically just suggests maybe we should stop seeing each other for now, or just stop seeing one another. Because Edwin, he doesn't know how to deal with his emotions right now, his feelings. Monty just straight up goes up and kisses Edwin, thinking Edwin was talking about him. But no, Edwin reveals that his feelings are not for Monty, they're for someone else. And gee, I wonder who. And well, the episode ends. I mean, let's face it, we saw this coming a mile away. We all knew that Edwin had feelings for Charles. We all knew this. I knew this back when watching the characters on Doom Patrol. Now that I've gotten to watch the show a bit and get to know the characters, I actually want to go back and watch the episode of Doom Patrol with the Dead Boy detectives, despite being played by different actors. I still want to go back, because when I watched that episode, I had no idea who these characters were. I had no background knowledge of them at all. I didn't even know their names throughout watching the episode. But now that I've seen the show, for the most part, I kind of want to go back and see that episode again, knowing what the characters are kind of like. Again, it's still crazy to me that this show is a spin-off of a spin-off, and neither spin-offs are connected to the show that they spun off from. You know the way I see it? The crossover between Titans and Doom Patrol? The way I see it, that's just the Doom Patrol on the Titans' Earth. Because we saw the Doom Patrol in Season 1, and then we saw them again in Season 4, if I'm not mistaken. Doesn't matter the fact that Larry looks a little different, it's still Larry. Doesn't matter that Victor is there, because, well, just say Victor exists on this Earth. What Pokeball did you use on them? Pokeball, regular Pokeball on everything. Do you still need to buy Pokemon games? Yes. The sunk cost fallacy is toxic. And so is FOMO. I don't think Doom Patrol is on Netflix, but Titans is. Nah, Doom Patrol's not on Netflix. So far, Ultra Sun Dex has 381 Pokemon caught. Nice! How much more do you have? I've tossed the idea around every now and then. Maybe one day I'll go back and work on a 3DS Living Dex. Maybe one day. Right now I got my hands full with ZA. You're only at Paniolo Ranch? Are you working on your... You're working on your Dex, right? Because isn't that early in the game? Forgot 2 tempo trial places, and yes, the dex. Well, best of luck to you. Pretty sure there's a handful of Pokemon that are impossible to get on your own, like you need to trade for them. You're right, it is early in the game, but there's a way I did it without cheating. Interesting. Playing on your 3DS and 2DS? Well, there you go. Well, there you go. As long as you have 2 systems, you're good. And 2 games, I guess. Did I ever collect the Pokemon events? Yes, I did. You mean the... what was it at the time? The 2016 Legendary events? Yes, I did. Man, was it flawed, too. Because remember, they gave some out from emails, and it did not work. Not everyone got emails back then. Well, a couple more minutes and that'll do it for tonight. Well, most of them I kept in Pokemon Bank and then used them to fill the decks quickly. Yep, that's why I may want to do a living dex one day. In case I gotta restart the game, shiny hunt legendaries again for whatever reason. I don't always gotta ask No Shame in Feeding to use his living dex. Ahem. Damn, you know what movie I kind of want to watch? This is a movie that just came to my attention a while ago. I don't think I ever watched this movie growing up. It's called The Terminal. It came out in 2004, so literally 20 years ago. I saw a couple of shorts of it online, and I kind of want to go back and watch this movie. I don't really know anything about it, but hey, that's kind of the joy of going into movies sometimes, going in blind, not knowing what it is. And movies in 2004, you know, this is when they prioritize storytelling, you know what I mean? And also, this isn't a big action movie, so there's no spotty CGI. It's literally a movie taking place in an airport. Untouched 2? Yeah, I don't touch my events either. Majority of event Pokemon, I too leave untouched. In Ultra Moon, you have 388 Pokemon Dex caught. Nice. Very nice. At least in Ultra Sun and Moon, you have easy access to damn near every legendary. At the time, that is. Ultra Beast 2. Well, except for Poipole. You do have to play the entire game for that. Twice. And type Null. Well, I'm about to end for tonight, folks. You have defeated 4 temple trial places in the Royale Avenue. I never really bothered with the Royale Avenue, or whatever it was called. Every time I replay these games, it's just to get to the end to shiny hunt the legendaries. Null will be a challenge. You know, back in the day, I really was about to replay the game 18 times so that I can have every single form of type Null, or rather Silvally. But then they came up with the shiny event, and I said, yeah, I don't need to play it 18 times anymore. Alright, I'll do one more reset, and then I'll call it for tonight. Alright, this will be the last encounter for tonight. And then, I don't know when I'll come back, because holidays, I got a lot of dinners coming up soon. These next couple of days. So, if this can be shiny, then I don't have to worry about it for the holidays. No. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.